So when I found Poetic, I had just come off leasing a children's hunter horse. I got a late start. I didn't really start showing till I was in the 8th grade. So I only did 1 full year of ponies and then moved on to a horse, and had just been doing the children's hunters and some of like the 3-foot equitation, but at a very basic level. I was not very good. We were trying to figure out the next step, and my dad said, well, why don't you guys go to Europe and get a horse? And he was like, just go, like it'll be great. And Susan McAlery hooked us up with a guy named Paul Van Den Ever, and my mom and I flew over and met up with him, and he took us around, and we tried, I think, 20 horses in like the 3 days we were there. Like it was ridiculous. But one of our last stops was right over the border in Belgium. It was like 7:00 p.m. It was pitch dark. We pulled up to this barn. It looked like a school barn. Like he's standing in this really narrow wash stall. He's like almost as tall as the ceiling, the poor thing, and he only had 3 shoes on. And so we're like, well, he only has 3 shoes on, and we're like, it's fine, like we're here now, we'll just get on. But there was only 1 jump and 1 light bulb. And I jumped the 1 jump maybe like 10 times, and I actually didn't love him at first. He was a little nervous, a little strong, and I was only like 14, so I was very inexperienced at 14 and didn't know what I was doing. But my mom really liked him. She was like, I'm telling you, he moves so beautifully, he's so beautiful. She's like, I think we should come back and try him. I was like, okay. So we asked if we could go to their outdoor ring the next day. Even though he looked a little rough and a little skinny, he just had this presence about him, and he moved so beautifully. He didn't jump the best then, but truly it was my mom who, you know, thank God for her. She just really saw something in him. When we were there, we were trying to come up with little names for all the horses we had tried, so that, you know, at the end of the day, my mom and I could talk about them. And, you know, he had the 3 shoes on, so it just seemed easy. We're like, oh, well, 3 shoes. And so then when we bought him, we're like, okay, well, we need something to call him. I was like, well, shoes/3 shoes just kind of stuck. When he came over, I just started listening on him, and you know, he was a good boy. He never did anything wrong, but he was for sure nervous, and it took him a good 6 months to really kind of settle into himself. We had some not so great classes, then we had some good classes, and it was just me really learning to ride a more sensitive type, because I had never really ridden a horse like that before. You know, he likes to be really quiet, and he likes a really soft ride, and that was something I hadn't really experienced before. So it was a learning curve for both of us, because, you know, by the time he started showing that WEF, he was only 8. I was 14. You know, I started him his first show was at WEF that year, so that was WEF 2008. I did him in the Children's Hunters. And I remember that first day I won a class. How I won a class, I don't know, but I almost remember like being in tears, because it was like my first WEF blue ribbon, which sounds like so childish, but it was so exciting, because I was like, oh my God, and the rest is kind of history. You know, and that year, after that Florida, he ended up being circuit champion, that Florida, in the Children's Hunters. And that Old Salem, I actually started doing him in the big equitation, because I was riding with Peter Lutz at the time, and he is really big in the equitation, and was like, you know, I think you should start doing it. And he was the only horse I had, so he started doing that, and he actually was really good at it, and I actually did him in Metal McClay finals that year. And he was 8 years old, and he carted my butt around, like, amazing. And, you know, that following winter, when he was doing the equitation, he had 1 bad experience in like the jumper phase, and that really got him nervous. And so then, you know, he got a little bit distrustful, and I got really nervous, and we went through a bit of a rough patch where things weren't going so well, and that's when we wanted to think about making a change. And I ended up moving to Val after that Florida, and she's the one who finally said, you know, I think doing like the 2 divisions isn't great for his jumping style, and I think the equitation's making him a little nervous. And so she's really the one who pushed us to just focus on the hunters and really start to focus on his jumping style and all of that. And she helped so much in just learning about his program, and that less is more, and he never jumped at home. And he ended up being circuit champion at Florida in the junior hunters, and then that whole year just ended up being a fairy tale, capping off in him being the Grand Junior Hunter Champion Horse of the Year, which was so exciting. So, you know, going to that gala in Kentucky was so exciting. It just really capped off like so much hard work, so much, you know, happiness and tears, and just, you know, working through all of it and seeing how it can really pan out was unbelievable. I mean, I could go on for hours about what that horse did and, you know, what it taught me, but it was so exciting just to see, like, really, if you're patient with the horse and if you can be willing to work with them and really try and figure out where their happiness is and what their niche is. I mean, it was amazing. And I mean, he truly put me on the map, because I mean, before then I had never won anything. Like, people just knew me as Maggie Boylan's daughter. I did him in the amateurs that following year, and he was great. Almost champion at every show he did. You know, I was in school then. I was at Texas A&M. I was on their equestrian team. So that Florida, I didn't get to show him as much, but he was super. And then he went to Devon, and he was champion at Washington. And I mean, he was amazing. He could have almost been Horse of the Year again if I had gotten to show a little more. He finished third in the country that year with not many shows. He's had major championships at Washington International Horse Show, the National Horse Show, Capital Challenge, 2 circuit champions at WEF. He went to Derby finals twice and was perfect. He's been champion all up and down the East Coast. I mean, almost every show he's been to, he's been champion or at least won a blue ribbon. You know, aside from what that horse did for me, I mean, success-wise in my career, he's my best friend. Like, every time I walk out to the barn, I go, "Hi, Shoes," and he whinnies as high as he can. You know, I mean, I grew up with that horse, and he grew up with me, and, you know, he's the sweetest horse. I mean, I'm like gonna cry. I mean, I was a 14-year-old, inexperienced Bobo, really. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. And for sure, he for sure gave me confidence as a person, and, you know, because for sure I was always kind of like the shy person in the corner, not that outgoing, and for sure he really helped give me confidence, not just in the show ring, but in just myself as a person. So, you know, I'm eternally grateful to him and what he's done for me. And, I mean, literally, it's hard to say a horse is perfect, but I swear to you, that horse is perfect. I mean, he doesn't do it. I've had that horse almost 10 years. I've never fallen off of him. And I fell off my equitation horse more times than I want to count. You know, he's literally perfect. He just doesn't do a thing wrong. And, you know, he went through all of his injuries and stuff, and I thought he was, you know, basically done. And I was like, that's fine. He doesn't owe me anything. But the day I got back on him, just to see, he hadn't been ridden in almost 6 months. I got on him, no drugs, no nothing, walked right down to my ring. He bopped around like an angel. And I'm like, no other horse would do that. I mean, he's just got a special brain. He's really, really special for sure. Not just in his, you know, his talents of being a top hunter, but just his personality and his brain and just the way that he acts. It's just amazing. He's my baby. And I mean, I still have him now. He just turned 17 on May 25th, but he looks amazing. And, you know, he's my horse of a lifetime for sure. So I love him very much. I'm going to stop there before I cry.